Silas Ward, a weathered rancher of 43, had seen his share of scars, but nothing prepared him for the burns on Coraline's back. 3 days into her job as his housekeeper, she reached to dust a high shelf, her worn dress pulling tight to reveal a pattern of deliberate, circular wounds, marks of hot metal pressed methodically into her skin. Silas froze in the doorway of his modest ranch house, his stomach churning at the sight. Cora moved with the cautious grace of someone trained to avoid notice, her silence a shield against unwanted attention. The morning light streaming through the window illuminated a story of cruelty etched across her shoulders. He cleared his throat softly, not wanting to startle her. Cora spun, yanking her collar to hide the scars, her eyes wide with panic as they searched his face for judgment or threat. "Mississippi Lane," Silas said, keeping his voice steady despite the anger rising in his chest, "those marks. How long have you carried them?" She backed against the wall, her face paling. "I don't know what you mean, Mr. Ward. I'm just cleaning, like you asked." But Silas knew the signs of a wounded soul, her hunched shoulders, her glances toward the door, the tremble in her hands. Those burns were fresh, pink around the edges, maybe weeks old. Someone had hurt her, and recently. "Those aren't accidents," he pressed gently, not moving closer. "Someone did that to you on purpose, with something hot and round." Cora's composure shattered, tears streaming down her face as she pressed harder against the wall, as if to vanish into it. "Please don't send me away," she whispered. "I can work. I won't cause trouble." Her desperation hit Silas like a blow. This wasn't just about a job, it was about survival. "I'm not sending you anywhere," he said, setting down his coffee cup with deliberate calm. "But I need to know who did this." Her eyes darted to the window, scanning the horizon. "You don't understand, Mr. Ward. If they know I told, if they know you've seen," she didn't finish, but her fear spoke volumes. Silas felt a cold certainty settle in. This wasn't over. Cora sank into a chair, accepting the coffee he offered. Her voice was hollow as she spoke. "His name's Malachi Brooks. He owns the Silver Dollar Saloon in town. He has arrangements with women who work for him, women with nowhere else to go. The burns are reminders of what happens if we try to leave or talk." Silas's jaw clenched. He knew Brooks by reputation, a man who thrived in the gray areas of the law, dealing in gambling, liquor, and worse. "How many others?" he asked. "6, maybe more," Cora said, staring into her coffee. "He has the sheriff, the judge, even the preacher in his pocket." "How'd you get away?" "A fire at the saloon last month," she said. "Just a kitchen blaze, but I slipped out in the chaos. Been walking ever since, avoiding roads, sleeping in barns. I saw your ad for help in a paper 2 towns over. Thought I could disappear here." Her words were cut off by the thunder of hooves. Silas moved to the window, counting 4 riders cresting the hill. Cora's face went white. "It's them," she whispered. "Malachi. He always said he'd find us." The lead rider, a tall man in a black coat, dismounted with arrogant confidence. Malachi Brooks surveyed the ranch like he already owned it. "That's him," Cora confirmed, her voice barely audible. Silas sent her to fetch a wooden box from under his bed. As she returned with his old Colt revolver and holster, he strapped it on with practiced ease. "You were a lawman," she observed. "Deputy sheriff, 2 territories over," he said, checking the cylinder. "Some skills you don't forget." Brooks called out from the gate, his voice polished but cold. "Mr. Ward, I believe you have something of mine." "I don't believe I do," Silas replied, stepping onto the porch. "Everything here's mine by honest work." Brooks smiled, but it was venomous. "The girl ran off during some excitement at my saloon. My employees are concerned for her welfare." "Funny," Silas said, "concern doesn't usually need 4 armed men." One of Brooks's men shifted nervously. "Boss, let's just take her and go." Brooks offered $50 to settle the matter, but Silas stood firm. I'm not in the business of selling people. The air grew taut. Brooks gestured at the ranch. Nice place. Be a shame if something happened to it. Fires are common in dry summers. Silas's voice turned deadly calm. I've seen your work on her back, Brooks. A man who burns women for sport, that's a special kind of evil. Brooks's smile faltered. Careful, rancher. Accusations like that can get you in trouble. I'm not making accusations, Silas said. I'm making a promise. The standoff broke as Brooks remounted, his parting words a threat. This isn't over, Ward. Cora slumped in the kitchen, her voice heavy. He'll be back, with more men. Tell me about the other women, Silas said. Do they want to leave? Of course, she replied. But Brooks threatens their families. Sheriff Dawson won't act, and Judge Whitmore dismisses complaints. Silas pulled a leather portfolio from his desk, containing old letters and a deputy's badge. Write down everything, names, dates, what he did. I've got contacts in the territorial government. Hope flickered in Cora's eyes, then faded. If Brooks suspects you're gathering evidence, he'll come for us. Silas handed her a shotgun. Can you handle this? My father taught me to hunt, she said, taking it. Good. Because he will be back. A distant glow interrupted them, an orange blaze on the horizon, from town. A lone rider galloped toward the ranch, Sheriff Dawson, panicked. Ward, the silver dollar's burning. Half the town might go up. We need every man. Cora gripped Silas's arm. He's setting you up. The fire's an excuse to blame you. Silas grabbed his coat. Bar the doors, Cora. Keep that shotgun ready. In town, the saloon was an inferno, flames licking the sky. Townsfolk formed bucket brigades, but Brooks stood apart, watching with cold calculation. He spotted Silas and called out, "Here to ease your conscience, Ward. Harboring my employee while my business burns." That's an interesting accusation, Silas said, since I was at my ranch with witnesses. Witnesses can be bought, Brooks sneered. Fires can be set to burn slow. The crowd slowed, listening. Then Betty, a saloon girl, stepped forward, holding a bottle of lamp oil. Brooks set the fire himself. He poured this around the saloon, told us to get out. Brooks's composure cracked, but before he could act, a new voice cut through. Sheriff Dawson, I wouldn't do that. U.S. Marshal Thomas Crawford strode forward, badge gleaming. I've been tracking a trafficking network across 3 territories. Sarah Chen's testimony led me here, burn marks like the ones on these women. Dawson hesitated, caught between duty and fear. Brooks's men drew their guns, but Silas was faster, dropping one with a shot to the shoulder. Chaos erupted, Crawford dove for cover, Dawson tackled a thug, and townsfolk shielded Betty. Hooves thundered again. Cora and 3 women rode in, former captives ready to testify. That's Brooks, one said, voice like steel. I've got the scars to prove it. Outnumbered, Brooks backed toward the flames, ranting about others like him. Crawford stood, gun steady. Maybe, but they'll know what happened to you. Betty held up her bottle. You said no one would believe us. You were wrong. Brooks's fight drained away. Crawford arrested him, his men subdued. As dawn broke over the smoldering saloon, Silas and Cora sat on his porch, the sunrise painting the sky. What now? He asked. Marshall says there's help for victims, relocation, job training, Cora said. But could you still use a housekeeper? Silas smiled. The job's yours, Mississippi Lane, for as long as you want. As Crawford's wagon carried Brooks away, Silas reflected, sometimes, standing up to evil was as simple and as complicated as deciding what was worth fighting for. And sometimes, justice won.